Welcome to Eye on Africa. I'm Clarisse Fortuné, and here are the top stories from across the continent. In the eastern DR Congo, violence between the Congolese army and M23 rebels is rampant, particularly in Fizi. The Red Cross says the territory is home to nearly 300,000 displaced individuals, communities that are living in fear. Health workers in Madagascar are racing to contain a growing outbreak of the deadly Mpox virus. Children are among the most vulnerable, raising fears that the disease could overwhelm an already fragile health system. And we'll discuss the Winter Olympics. Yes, you heard me. 15 athletes from 8 African nations will be competing in Milan. Who are these African athletes performing on snow and ice? We'll tell all in a moment. But we start in eastern DR Congo. The conflict between the National Army and the M23 group is intensifying, plunging local communities into a deepening crisis, especially recently in a Fizi territory. Once again, vulnerable populations are enduring the harshest consequences of this ongoing power struggle. Aurélie Bazara-Kibangula and Emmett Livingston report.
In this village, perched atop a hill in Fizi territory, many people struggle to sleep.
We're afraid. Here in these mountains, we hear gunfire and bombs exploding. We hear them night and day, especially around Point Zero just over there.
Point Zero is where the latest fighting has been raging. There, the Congolese army, which is supported by pro-government militias known as Wazalendo, is fighting against M23 rebels who are backed by Rwanda.
Since November, displaced persons have been arriving here because of the clashes. Let's go and see a woman who arrived 2 days ago from Point Zero.
Fatima used to be a farmer, but because of the fighting, she was forced to leave everything behind.
I'm sad. When I fled, my husband was killed, and I was raped while escaping. I'm here with nothing. The locals have lent me a place to sleep and the clothes I'm wearing. I work a little bit in the fields to have something to eat.
More than 11,000 displaced people have already been welcomed in this village alone. In Fizi territory, war is part of everyday life. Armed soldiers and Wazalendo are everywhere on the roads. For residents who want to keep up with what's happening on the front lines, the radio is a lifeline. At the moment, the news is good. The local government administrator says as much himself.
The enemies who wanted to attack Fizi and advance towards Boko Boko and Baraka have been repelled. It is our army, held by other troops sent as reinforcements, that has the upper hand over the enemy.
But at the market in Fizi, people are aware that the situation is volatile. The stalls are sparse because traders can't risk travelling across the front lines to stock up. The fighting is intense and too close for comfort.
The war around us frightens us. We're not working as we usually do. It's quieter. We're afraid that the war will come here.
Locals say that Fizi is a martyred territory, a place that's been plagued by war for decades. And despite the several declared ceasefires in the conflict and ongoing negotiation between the government and the M23 rebels, few expect to see peace anytime soon.
And to Libya now, where thousands of mourners gathered for the funeral of Seif al-Islam Gaddafi, son of late leader Muammar Gaddafi. His coffin was carried through the town of Bani Walid alongside large portraits of Seif al-Islam and his father. As supporters waved, as you can see, green flags associated with the former regime. Seif al-Islam was shot dead earlier this week at his home in Zintan by a masked gunman. His death comes amid Libya's ongoing political divisions more than a decade after the 2011 uprising. Madagascar is one of 93 countries to have recorded confirmed cases of Mpox, a highly infectious virus. Africa has seen more infections than any other region, with around 45,000 cases and nearly 200 deaths between January 2025 and January 2026. The first confirmed cases came in December, just as staff in public hospitals were on strike, raising fears that Mpox could overwhelm an already fragile health system. Gaël Borgia and Aurélie Coumont.
In this public hospital, authorities have set up a triage tent provided by the World Health Organization. The measure was put in place after cases of Mpox, formerly known as monkeypox, were recorded in Madagascar in December. This young girl is showing symptoms.
Please come this way. This is a suspected case that we must isolate.
A dozen confirmed cases are already under isolation in this center, and 229 have been recorded nationwide. Among them is Etienne, a 45-year-old. The virus can cause fever, headaches, and skin lesions, and is treated with antiviral and pain relief medication. The strain of the virus detected in Madagascar is transmitted by close contact, particularly sexual encounters. Once fully recovered, Etienne should not have sex for 3 months, as the virus can be transmitted in sperm.
It is very unpleasant. It sends shivers through your body. Since I was admitted to hospital, I think I have already spent 60 euros. It's all gone. It's a lot of money.
Patients have to pay for some of their medicine, and the vaccine is not yet available in Madagascar. Some health professionals say the sector has been neglected by public authorities. Members of one union are refusing to treat infectious patients without receiving a risk premium amounting to 40 euros per month.
We have no insurance, no guaranteed treatment, no risk premium. We medical interns have to pay out of our own pocket for personal protective equipment such as face masks, scrub caps, shoe covers if needed.
The 2026 budget allocated to public health in Madagascar is 171 million euros, which is less than 5% of overall public spending. This is despite a 2001 commitment from African governments to spend at least 15% of their budget on health.
And you're watching Eye on Africa. And yes, we're going to talk about the Winter Olympics Games 2026 that have officially begun in Milan. Almost 3,000 athletes from 90 countries spread out over hundreds of miles in northern Italy, and among them 15 athletes from 8 African nations, a rare but growing presence. And this year is the second year that 8 African countries will be taking part, but African athletes have been competing at the Games since the 1960 Olympic Games in California. Morocco was the second country to participate in the Winter Olympics in 1968, and history was made again in 1984 when Senegalese alpine skier Lamine Gueye became the first black African to participate at the Winter Olympics. Have a look.
Sporting Senegal's colours, Lamine Gueye speeds down the piste of Bielasnica once again. 42 years after his visit to Sarajevo, the former downhill skier is back in the Bosnian capital to relive his first appearance at the Winter Olympic Games.
It was absolutely unforgettable. I'll never forget it.
Lamine Gueye was the first black African to take part in the Winter Olympics, an incredible achievement, even if his performance did not take gold.
I was a good skier compared to your average tourist, but I was stepping into a whole new world. I realized quite quickly, unfortunately, that I wasn't going to take home any medals. You know, I had to accept reality. The slopes are extremely demanding. I think I beat 4 or 5 other skiers. I didn't finish last.
Lamine's incredible story inspired this director to make a documentary about the athlete.
Lamine might not have been aware of it at the time, but he carried a message. What mattered wasn't taking home gold. It was that he took part. It was a triumph of the human spirit.
After the Sarajevo Games, Lamine competed at both the 1992 Games in Albertville and Lillehammer 2 years later. In Lamine's mind, though, nothing will top his first ever Olympic appearance.
2 years. Thank you very much.
You see, this country is amazing. I will definitely come back.
Je vais revenir ici.
Emily Boyle there reporting, and sports journalist Emily Boyle is with us right there. So let's discuss. I know you're from Switzerland, so you know everything about Winter Olympics. So you're the good person. You're the person to talk to. So who are these African athletes competing in snow and ice?
Well, there are 15 African athletes competing from 8 different countries at this year's Winter Olympic Games in Milano Cortina. Now, 10 of those athletes competing in downhill skiing, 3 in cross-country skiing, and then 1 in both skeleton and freestyle skiing. South Africa has the biggest delegation with 5 athletes, and Benin and Guinea-Bissau are making their Winter Olympic debut. So very excited for them. We just saw them walk out under their flags. It was pretty cool. And if I had to say one athlete to look out for is Madagascar's Mialatina Clerc. She's going to make history as the first female African athlete to compete in 3 Winter Olympic Games after Pyeongchang in 2018 and Beijing in 2022.
So this year, 15 athletes from 8 countries taking part. So, but how does that compare to previous editions?
Well, 15 athletes is an increase from Beijing in 2022, where only 6 African athletes took part. And this year is the second year that 8 African countries are sending a delegation to the Games. But African athletes have been competing at the Games since 1960, when South Africa became the first African country to send an athlete to the Winter Games. Morocco was the second country to participate in the Winter Olympics in 1968. And then history was made again in 1984, when Senegalese alpine skier that you just saw there, Lamine Guy, competed as the first black African to participate in the Winter Olympics.
So, Emily, my big question is, how do they do it? I mean, how these athletes get to compete at the highest level of winter sports? Africa is not really known for this, except a few countries maybe, but for their mountains.
No, so all of these 15 athletes have really, really interesting backgrounds. All have come to their sports in slightly different ways. There are a number of binationals. Quite a few of them actually grew up in France. That's the case for Mialatina Clerc, Nathan Chibozo, and a number of others who were basically born, with skis on their feet. And then others have come to it later in life. I think the South African cross-country skier only started cross-country skiing about 3 years ago. So they all have quite different ways of getting to their sports, but they're still really underrepresented, and that's for 2 reasons. The main problem is access, obviously, because many of these athletes have to, travel kilometers and kilometers, move countries to get to training facilities to practice their sport. And the other issue is funding. We know that winter sports are kind of a luxury sport. A bobsleigh, I think, costs 40,000 euros or something like that. So really difficult. And winter sports is not the priority for a number of African countries. A lot of the governments want to subsidize more popular sports like maybe football or summer Olympic sports. So yeah, there's still a way to go, but hopefully this year we might see Africa's first Winter Olympic medal, fingers crossed.
And I think we still have 1 minute to go. So which particular disciplines they're going to be competing with?
Well, the big one is downhill skiing, obviously. So we've got quite a few downhill skiers. Again, a number of these, like if you take Mialatina Clerc, she was born in Madagascar but adopted by French parents. And so she grew up in the Alps. Same thing for Benin's first skier. He actually started skiing for France, then skied for Togo, and now is skiing for Benin. And then when you talk about access and funding, Benin's skiing organization only was founded in 2025. So that tells you just how young a lot of these organizations are. So they don't yet have all of the logistics and all of the money that they can have to support African athletes like European athletes might have access to.
Well, we'll be monitoring, and good luck to all these countries. And thank you very much, Emily Boyle, sports journalist, with all the updates. Switzerland is in the house tonight for these games. Thank you very much. And this concludes today's edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you for joining us. Keep on watching France 24.
Stay up to date with the news by joining the France 24 WhatsApp group. Find out what's going on, anywhere, anytime. Today's news in real time is already available to thousands of subscribers of the France 24 WhatsApp group in English. Around the world, stay in touch with the news on the France 24 WhatsApp group.
To understand the world, you need to be immersed in it. From Jakarta to Beirut, by way of Kinshasa, Kyiv and Washington, France 24 correspondents are everywhere. 200 correspondents living near you. Their mission? Keeping you informed wherever you are in the world at all times. Objective, reliable, trustworthy, independent information. Checking facts, exposing fake news. France 24. We're here, there, and everywhere. Keeping you informed.
On January the 8th and Friday the 9th, there were very large protests in Iran. Internet was cut off. We had no news at all. And the next day, images began to emerge, thanks to Iranians who were able to send them via satellite. We spoke to the aunt of a very young female protester. She had been killed. She was named Rubina. These were things we had never heard of. Violence we had never heard of. And we realized then how important it was to hear them, to record them, and to bring their voices to the world, because that's where the true meaning of journalism lies.